If you don't have visible veins under your abs, the word bulk should not even be in your vocabulary. Now, as men, we want to be attractive. We want to go to the gym, build muscle, build that attractive physique for whatever reasons, right? Respect, confidence, women, self-esteem, all of these things that get massively impacted in a positive way when you build an attractive physique, right? But the issue is that most men rush to the first conclusion, and that is they need to build muscle. They need to build muscle as fast as possible. And the second wrong conclusion is that in order to do that, they need to bulk up. They need to gain as much weight as possible in the fastest time possible, because that's going to be very beneficial towards muscle growth, right? Not only is bulking unnecessary to achieve your dream physique, but it's going to make you look a lot worse whilst you're doing it. So I'm going to explain why this is and what you should do instead. Bear in mind, the guys that even go to the gym, build muscle, but they don't control their calories, they eat in a surplus endlessly in the name of building muscle, they're not gonna like what I'm saying here. But that's fine. You can't be one of them guys that just uses lifting weights as an excuse to fill their mouth with as much food as possible. Being lean, having an attractive physique, actually looking like you can control yourself, control what you eat, control the food that you put in your mouth, that's what really separates you from other people. That's what really gives you an attractive physique that gets attention. So if you want that type of physique, you can't use the excuse of bulking up to build a better physique when that is not what separates you from the average person. Now let me show you what I'm talking about using myself as an example, because if I didn't experience this myself, I wouldn't be saying it. Now this is me 6 months before I started lifting weights, right? Already, I have a better physique than most people. Why is that? I was doing push-ups and pull-ups like a few times a week, but the most important thing is that I was eating 100% clean foods and tracking my calories, making sure that I was at maintenance. And I was playing football at the time, so my calorie maintenance, my calorie maintenance was quite high. So it was easy for me to stay lean, right? Very easy. Now this is me 6 months after I started lifting weights, started to get that V-taper, and I was just as lean. I wasn't even flexing in that picture, right? Otherwise the abs would look even more defined. And I was still tracking my calories, of course. I was experienced with that. I was tracking my calories, staying at maintenance. I went from 71 kilograms to 78 kilograms in 6 months. So that's 15 pounds, right? 15 pounds of pretty much all muscle or muscle glycogen, basically, right? No extra fat gain or hardly any. So I built a decent physique just in like 6 months time, just because I came from like a good base. I was already lean. So then all I had to do from there was add muscle by staying at maintenance. I didn't bulk because the video I just showed you was at a festival and I wanted to be lean for that festival, right? So that's why I made sure I stayed lean. I tracked my calories, stayed at maintenance or around maintenance, still kept my activity high, so it was easy for me to hit maintenance calories. And then I just built muscle from there. Noob gains, of course, like most people are not going to gain 15 pounds of muscle in 6 months, or mostly muscle, right? Muscle glycogen, whatever, in 6 months, unless you're in the noob stage, which I was, right? That was the first time my body had started to respond to actually lifting weights rather than just bodyweight calisthenics or whatever else I was doing. So you can see there, I was lean, I had abs, I had a nice defined face. At the place that I was, where I took that picture, there was basically no one else around who had a physique that was as good as mine. Not even in an arrogant way, right? That was just the truth. That's because I committed the last 6 months to staying lean and building muscle. Now, the summer was over at the time after that festival. I thought, what should I do now? The method of thinking at the time was that, okay, now, in the UK it's winter, there's nothing to do. You go to work, you come back home, you go to the gym, that's it, right? So I don't need to be lean. I need to build muscle as fast as possible. That's what I thought. So I need to bulk. 9 months later, I was looking like this. I was 187 pounds, around there. Face was round and bloated, stomach was soft, arms were soft, face was soft, like everything's soft, right? I was looking like a shambles, basically, and that's because I bulked up. I gained 20 pounds and it wasn't all muscle. Of course it wasn't. There was some muscle because I was still seeing progressive overload in the gym, of course. Otherwise it would have been a complete shambles, a waste of time completely, right? But the progressive overload that I was seeing was not any better than when I got onto maintenance calories or onto a deficit, which I did after. But basically I made myself look worse, a lot worse by bulking, right? Just compare how I was looking even before I started lifting weights. Forget when I had the V-taper at the festival, right? Even before I was lifting weights, I was looking much better then just because I was lean, even though I didn't have too much muscle, than when I had gained a lot more muscle, but I was like 18% body fat. That's the thing. If you want to be attractive, You cannot be bulking. You cannot be intentionally gaining fat to make your physique look better when all it does is make your physique look worse. Your waist gets blocky, you lose the shapes of your physique, your face gets puffy, clothes start to fit worse. Like I had to wear, I'm even embarrassed to say this right for myself. I had to wear 34-inch waist pants. Now I know some of you probably are wearing larger than that, but I'm 5'8", right? I shouldn't be wearing 34-inch waist. That's just because my waist got too thick and my quads, I stored fat on a lot of fat on my quads as well. They just got too large. Nowadays, you know what I'm wearing? I'm wearing 29-inch pants. Nice and lean, perfect, right? 29, 30-inch. But 34-inch on my height, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's obese. I was obese. If you check the BMI, I was way obese, right? Basically. People notice you getting soft as well. Even though you're doing it in the sake of muscle building, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. People don't care why you do something. They just care about what the results are. I was flexing in the mirror. My brother came in. He said, "You're getting fat." And I was getting fat. I didn't want to accept it. It took me a few days to actually get self-analytical enough to actually realize that what he said was the truth. But I was just getting fat. I wasn't controlling my calories. I was eating anything and everything in the sake of bulking. My diet was still cleaner than most people's, but I was still eating things I shouldn't have. You know, the milkshakes, the burgers. It's fine. This is gonna build me muscle. No, it doesn't do that. It just starts to add those pounds, those unnecessary pounds of fat that you don't need. So this is the reality when it comes to natural lifters for muscle growth. In the first 6 months in your newbie gain stage, you're only gaining like 2 pounds of muscle a month maximum, provided you're doing everything right. You're going to the gym consistently, training hard, all of those things, right? And that perfectly aligns with how much weight I gained in the first 6 months, 15 pounds, perfect. That's because I was tracking my calories, staying at maintenance, staying lean. So when you're, let's say, 3 years into training and guys are bulking to gain more muscle, and 3 years into training, your muscle growth is not going to be 2 pounds of muscle a month probably, right? It's going to be like half a pound. It's probably going to be half a pound of muscle a month. So when you're doing a 500 calorie surplus, you're gaining a pound of weight per week, 4 pounds of weight per month. Only half a pound of that maximal can be muscle. So 3.5 pounds of fat every month stacking up consistently. You do it for a year, you've gained 35 pounds of fat. That's insane, 40 pounds of fat. That's not worth it whatsoever. You know, for a year, let's say you gain half a pound of muscle per month, you've got 6 pounds of muscle and you've got 40 pounds of fat. Does that sound like a good ratio? Of course not. That's why everybody who's bulking, which is most people who are in the gym, because most people don't want to control their nutrition, they don't have the discipline for it, they're gaining a ridiculous amount of fat compared to their muscle. And it's just not worth it overall for your attractiveness, for your weight, for the brain fog that you get, the heaviness that you feel. Like I've experienced all these things. You know, you run in, you can't even run anymore. You can't do cardio. You're out of breath. Just walk into the gym and you know, putting the plates back onto the rack. Like it's not worth it at all. And this is the thing, when you track your progressive overload and you track your weight, you track the amount of calories that you're eating, you get progress pictures, you see how you look. All of these things that I have done consistently for the past 3 years, you can come to the conclusion that bulking does not build you any extra muscle. My progressive overload, when I was at periods of maintenance in the past year and a half, was the exact same as when I was bulking. I have been seeing progressive overload consistently whilst I've been cutting weight, whilst I've been dropping from 187 pounds to 168 pounds where I'm at now. I've tracked 500 workouts by now in the app that I used to track workouts, and I used to write it down in my notes as well. And combined with with MyFitnessPal, I've also tracked like very consistently for the past few years. I can see that when I'm bulking, the progressive overload is just not worth it. It's basically the same as when I'm maintaining my weight. It's the same. And when I'm cutting, of course, the progressive overload is a bit slower. That's to be expected because your muscle protein synthesis is going to be lower when you're in a calorie deficit. But it's still there. It's not reduced completely. If you're not building any muscle when you're cutting, then you're doing something wrong. Your macros aren't optimized. You're not training intensely. Your volume is wrong. Something, right? But when you're doing everything optimally, when you know what you're doing, you know you have guidance. Maybe you're in my community. You know what you're doing. You can build muscle whilst you're cutting. You can get lean if you're not lean already, right? I started lean and then I made a mistake and got fat, whatever. But you can start to drop that weight, right? That needs to be your priority. If you don't have abs, you're over 12% body fat. You need to be dropping that fat consistently, and then you can still build muscle quite a nice steady rate of growth, basically your natural limit of growth anyway. So you're not wasting time trying to bulk up and gain more fat than you already have, when you can just gain near enough the same amount of muscle growth anyway, whilst you're cutting and making your body composition look a lot better. That should be the priority for pretty much everybody. So I came to that conclusion myself a while ago, but what I'm seeing now recently is the studies that are coming out that show bulking does not provide any significant difference in muscle growth versus maintenance calories. And that's because the body, when it's building muscle, and building muscle is just adding new muscle protein fibers, right? That's what it is. The body factors that in, the extra energy needed to add extra new muscle fibers. It factors that into maintenance calories. If your maintenance is 2,500 calories and you're building muscle, that amount of calories, 2,500, the body is including building muscle into that. So when you eat 2,800, the extra 300 calories is not going into building more muscle because it can't. It's already factored into the maintenance calories, right? So that's why the studies are showing what they're showing, and that's why I saw it anecdotally in myself first before I even saw that. The reason why a lot of guys bulk or just gain weight in general, to be honest, and then never cut, is because you've trained your body to want more food. If you gain 30 pounds of fat in 1 year, you've eaten over 100,000 extra calories just that year. So let's say your maintenance is 2,800 and you're eating 3,500 a day for a while until you gain like quite a considerable amount of weight. Now when you need to hit 2,200 a day to cut effectively, well, now it's hard. Now you've conditioned yourself to eat so much extra food that you didn't need, that it's difficult. Now it feels like deprivation when it shouldn't feel like that. You just need to get in the momentum, you need to get the swing of things, and eventually your body will basically adapt to losing weight, especially when you're like 20% body fat. You're gonna adapt to losing weight pretty consistently, quite quickly, because you've got so much extra weight. Your body wants to get rid of it. The extra fat is producing an estrogen as well. It's toxins stored in the fat. You don't want that on your body. You need to get rid of that. So you need to push past the phase where it feels a bit difficult. You get adapted to losing fat pretty quickly. You hit your calories, get the habits in every day, and then you start to lose that weight consistently, and it just feels amazing. But of course, there's going to be a lot of people who make excuses. They'll be 220 pounds, 20, 25, 30% body fat, and they'll be like, oh, my body just naturally wants to be at this weight. No, nobody's body naturally wants to be at 20%. You've just conditioned yourself to eat too much food. Or they'll say, I don't want to be victim weight. I don't want to be under 200. I don't want to be victim weight. Well, it's ironic to me because they're already victims. That's the reality. They're already victims. They're just victims of their own lack of self-control. They can't control what they eat, so they've made themselves a victim just by not having that discipline to actually control the food that they eat, so they actually can look good, look attractive, have a nice physique. That's what everybody wants, but most people can't achieve it. And when I say most people can't achieve it, I mean that most people don't make the decision to do it. Because if you make the decision that you're going to get lean, and you actually do the things that are required, like hit your calories every day and go to sleep on time and train and basically just control what you're eating, well, you're gonna get lean. It's honestly as simple as that. You just have to make the decision that the result that you want is going to be way more worth the food that you're eating, and you will get lean. Most people just don't make that decision because losing weight, losing body fat specifically, is not actually difficult. Like, it's very simple to do. You eat under your maintenance for a consistently long period of time, and then you get lean. It's as simple as that. That's what everybody who has ever lost weight in the history of the world has done. That's what you have to do, whether intentionally or not, right? Unintentionally, it still works the same way. So that's what you need to do to lose body fat. You just do that consistently. You make it a habit to hit your calories every single day, and you get lean. But most people just either don't have the discipline to do that every day, or they struggle with eating less food, so they just say, fuck it, I'm not going to lose the weight, I'm going to stay fat. But realistically, that's not acceptable. You can't accept being at 20%, 25%. That's just not acceptable. You have to be lean. Lean is 8 to 12% body fat. That's what lean is. Now, you're not going to, obviously, it's not going to be quick to get there if you're 25%. First, you need to drop to 20, then you need to drop to 15, then you need to lock in, because getting from 15 to 10 is harder than 25 to 20, right? So then you need to lock in, and then you get to the lower levels. It's not like, but the thing is, the end goal should still be in mind. You should still think that, okay, the actions I'm doing today, eventually they're going to compound, they're going to add up to me getting that dream physique, and everybody can do that. It's just that most people don't make the decision to do that. So instead of bulking and trying to force feed muscle growth when it really doesn't work like that, this is what we're going to do instead. If you're currently over 12% body fat, right? You don't have abs. If you don't have visible abs, you don't look lean, which most people aren't. So it's probably going to be applicable to you. You're going to get lean. That's the priority. To be attractive, to look good, to feel good, to have confidence, self-esteem, women, all the myriad of things that you're going to get when you're lean. you need to prioritize being lean first. We're going to do that by getting in a calorie deficit. Get your maintenance calories, tdeecalculator.net, or if you already know it, that's great. Then you get your maintenance calories and you subtract an amount of calories from there. The amount of calories you subtract is dependent on how overweight you are, right? If you're maybe around 15%, 16, 17, something like that, then it's going to be a smaller deficit because you can afford to get leaner a little slower, but then you're going to have a more muscle protein synthesis, so it's going to allow you to build muscle like quite effectively whilst you're still in the deficit, right? So maybe a 300 to 500 calorie deficit, probably around 500 is good actually, 500 calories, right? So you're going to still see some slower progressive overload whilst you're building muscle. Obviously, as long as you're tracking your workouts, training effectively, training intensely, heavy weights, low volume, stuff like that, right? Now, if you're over that, if you're 20%, 25%, 30%, you know, you're obese, right? You're very overweight. It's not acceptable as a man. We need to get that sorted. You're gonna definitely do a 500 calorie deficit, maybe 700, 800 calories maximum, right? So we're not gonna force it as fast as possible to get lean, because then you won't stick to the calories. It's not sustainable. You're gonna start binging basically. You're gonna be too hungry. That's what I experienced anyways when I was at the peak of my weight, right? You're gonna choose a calorie deficit that is sustainable for you. You can hit this every single day and you don't feel too hungry. Being hungry is fine, by the way. Sometimes this is the thing. Most people get hungry and straight away they have to go and eat something. You need to be a man and not do that, right? You need to accept that being hungry is a good thing. When you feel hungry, you're doing a good job, right? You don't want to be consistently starving all day, because then something's going wrong either with your macros or with your calorie deficit. But choose a sustainable deficit that you can maintain, even just using a little bit of discipline. And yeah, that's basically how you're gonna get lean. Of course, we're eating whole foods, meat, fish, eggs, fruit, vegetables, rice, potatoes, stuff like that. Stuff that is clean. You know, we're not eating chocolate, Doritos, Oreos, because that's gonna make you hungrier. It's, you know, it's been manufactured to make you hungrier because people need to buy the stuff, right? So we're gonna eat good foods, high protein, high water, high fiber, stuff like that. It's gonna make you full, gonna make you feel good, gonna make you attractive. Now, the other situation is that if you're already kind of lean, like I said, there's not many people who this is really gonna apply to, but regardless, I mean, I was in that situation at the start. If you're around 12, 13% body fat, 12%, you know, under there basically, then you're not gonna bulk to gain muscle. You're gonna stay around maintenance calories. That's what we need to do. We can't use the excuse of bulking to eat more food. That's unnecessary, because it's not gonna lead to better muscle growth. You need to be strict with your calories. It's kind of like cutting, right? But you just have a little bit more freedom. You're gonna be more satisfied. You're gonna eat the amount of calories that your body needs. It's kind of, to be honest, right, when I think about it, it's kind of crazy that we need to explain, I need to explain this properly. People have gotten so used to eating more energy than their body needs that it's like when I tell someone, just eat the amount of food that your body needs, it's like, no, I need to bulk, I need to eat more. No. If you eat at maintenance calories or around maintenance calories, right? Because it's difficult to exactly predicts, you know, the amount of calories that your body burns day to day, because one day you might start fidgeting a bit more and then you've burned an extra 100 calories, right? So if you're just eating around maintenance, it's going to be completely fine. Even if you're under 100 or 200 calories, it's fine. If you're over 100, 200 or even 300 calories, it's fine, because when you're tracking your weight every single day, which you should also be doing, and you're also taking progress pictures, right? You're looking yourself in the mirror every day. If you've gained a bit more weight than is realistic for muscle growth, or if you're looking in the mirror and it's like, you know, maybe I've gained a little bit, basically, you can analyze very quickly that if you're eating too much, and you can see that tracking your calories every day, of course, you can analyze very quickly, and then you can get in a deficit for like 1 week, and you'll be fine. Like, say you've gained 1 pound of fat, right? You've gained 1 pound of fat over the month, right? You've gained 1 pound of fat over the month. You can get in a 500 calorie deficit for 1 week and drop that straight away, right? So it's very simple. As long as you're trying to hit around maintenance calories, you're gonna look good whilst building muscle effectively as well. And then if you do make a mistake with your calories, if you eat a little bit more than you intended, you gain a bit of fat, you can get that gone pretty much instantly. And then that's how you're gonna stay lean, look attractive, year round. Like I said, most people don't want to do this. Most people who go to the gym, they want to build muscle as fast as possible. They don't realize that there's a limit to how much muscle you can build, and that limit is maxed out at maintenance calories. So when you're bulking up, you're just using it as an excuse to eat extra food that you don't need. You need to be strict with your calories at all times so you can look good year round. Everybody wants that, right? Everybody wants to look as good as possible for the, you know, basically for the longest time possible, right? Year round, you're staying lean, you're staying attractive for the whole year. But most people don't want to do what's necessary to do that, which is control what they're eating at all times. honestly, it does make you feel a lot better. It does make you look a lot better. It makes you think a lot better. But when you're eating too much food, which is what most people are doing, even when they're in the gym, it's just not going to have the same impacts. It's going to have a much worse impact. You're going to be looking, even the people that bulk for 10 months and then, they're lean for like 1 month or 1 week maybe for a holiday or something, right? They don't want that. Ideally, they want to be lean year round. They want to look good all the time, because then you don't need to cut for the holiday. You're always cut for the holiday, right? You're always lean for the holiday. I can go on holiday tomorrow and I don't have to cut for it because I'm already lean, So that's the point that you want to get to. When you're looking lean and attractive year round, that's when you're going to get the attention from everybody. That's when, people are going to be asking you things. That's when you just feel good at yourself year round. Because if you're, honestly, I think it's probably even worse to be fat like most of the year and then cut for like a month or a week, because then it's like that's the only time of the year that you're looking forward to when you actually look good, right? It's probably better to just be fat the whole time, because then you just get used to it probably, right? I don't know, I've not been fat for a while. I can't imagine what it would be like to do that again. I wouldn't do that again. But when you're lean all the time, as a result of letting the daily disciplines, just eating the amount of food that you need every single day, staying lean, staying on top of your food, on top of your calories every day, that's when you get the real results. You're confident all the time, you look good, you look attractive all the time, and that's when you really feel the best. And it's not that difficult to do, honestly. You get used to eating maintenance, like just the same way that you can get used to bulking, like I did, eating too much food. There's going to be an adaptation period, of course, but you can get used to just eating less food. It's absolutely fine. Also, if you're skinny fat, so you don't have abs whatsoever, maybe you've got a chubby face, but you're also you've also got a very low level of muscle mass. You've got noodle arms, whatever. Then you need to stay in a moderate to low calorie deficit, so 300 to 500 calories. So you still have enough muscle protein synthesis. You can still build muscle to increase that metabolism as well, get metabolically active tissue, but also get lean as well, because basically your nutrient partitioning is very bad when you're skinny fat. You are insulin resistant. People who are obese are more likely to be insulin resistant, and that's probably the case when you've got, when you're 20-25% body fat, whatever. So when you get leaner, what that does is that your body starts to allow the carbohydrates that you eat, the insulin, to rise effectively, and it's going to allow the carbohydrates to be stored as a muscle glycogen rather than body fat. Because when you're skinny fat and you just try to bulk up more, you try to eat too much, basically, like that's just making the situation worse. Basically, you gain muscle more effectively when you're leaner, so we need to get leaner, but not too fast, so that you can still build some muscle whilst you're getting leaner. That's basically what you're going to do when you're skinny fat. It's basically what you do when you're obese as well, but it's probably more important to prioritize that muscle building if you have a very low weight and you're also at a high body fat percentage. Now, this is the best thing that happens when you actually follow through on the guidance that I've given you. Once you get lean, just once, you never have to get lean again. Think about it. Once you get lean, once you get to 8 to 12% body fat, when you're just staying at maintenance for the majority of the year, you never have to get lean again. Worst case scenario, you gain 1 or 2 pounds and you cut for 1 or 2 weeks. It's simple as that, right? You never have to go on a long calorie deficit ever again. That's the best thing. You get to build muscle, slowly make your body composition better and better. And technically, if you're staying at the same body fat level in your body, right, you have the same amount of body fat, but you're building muscle slowly, your body fat percentage is still decreasing, right? So you're making your body composition better just by staying at maintenance and then still building muscle slowly. And that's the best thing. You get lean once, you never have to get lean again. You can just stay looking attractive for as long as you want to maintain it. You build the habits, you build the willpower, you build the mentality as you're getting lean, however long that takes. It just depends where you start from. And then you use that to stay lean forever, and you can just look as good as you want pretty much forever and keep improving. That's the point you want to get to. You keep improving your physique. It's effortless. You feel good at all times. And that's how you experience things when you get lean. And yeah, you basically prioritize getting that attractive physique rather than trying to prioritize building as much muscle as possible by bulking up, even though it doesn't really work. So make sure that's what you're doing. Make sure you're getting your food intake optimized, calories are optimized, macros optimized, building muscle efficiently as well in the gym, low volume, training intensely, training with proper form, all the things that I talk about as well. Yeah, basically get that body composition looking very good. And you're going to see how great things are once you get to that stage. If you do want more help to build an attractive physique, then check the top link in the description. That's my community. You can join the guys there who are building attractive physiques, get more help, ask me questions, get guidance, in-depth breakdowns of everything, things that I've talked about like in this video. And yeah, just get building the most attractive natural physique really. Top link in the description if you want to look sexy.